Now we are going to watch a game between Burmakin Vladimir, 23-30, and Berkovich Dmitry, 24-55. It was played at the Kobanya Open in 1992. As we will see, the higher rated player will prevail. d4, knight f5, knight f3, g6, g3, bishop g7, bishop g2, knight f6, castle, castle, c4, d6, and here we have our Leningrad Dutch. Okay, so as you can see, the move order doesn't really impact the game so much, because of course it's a close game and the two armies are not in contact at the moment. Knight c3, and now you can guess the next move, right, which is c6. Rook e1. This is a very interesting and important move. Why? Because white wants to do this, right? So let's see. After knight a6, in the game it was played b3 with this idea probably, but what happens if he plays e4, f takes e4, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, rook takes e4, and now we have various possibilities, but in this game that we took as a reference, it was played e5. After d takes e5, d takes e5, queen takes d8, rook takes d8, there was bishop g5. As you can see, yes, he could have tried to take that, but it's always a good idea in the opening to bring out these pieces, so you avoid the big problems without even thinking. Okay, rook e8, rook e2, bishop f5, and rook d2, and then it continues with knight c5, which was a game from 2000, from the year 2000, between Djokovic and Spraget. The game ended in a draw, so this also gives you an idea of what happens when white push on the e4. Okay, now let's watch this other game and see what happened. Okay, so I would like to show you again the importance. It was rook e1, knight a6, and instead of e4 in this game he played b3. Okay, to which follow queen c7, bishop b2, e5, d takes e5, d takes e5, knight a4, opening the diagonal. Okay, e4. So black is doing well at this point. Now, of course, we want to do this and this, but let's start with e4, because then white is definitely late. He wasn't able to do the push-up. And so here we learn what happens when bishop e5, queen d7, knight g5, h6, we kick the knight away, but maybe he wanted to be kicked because he wants to go here. Knight h3, queen e6. Now we don't want to exchange the queens, but white wants to exchange them, and we play rook e8. Queen takes e6. Obviously you take with the bishop because you want to bring the other rook into the game. And after rook ad1 that occupies the file, also if honestly, look how this move is not important. They always tell you, oh, take control of the file. Yeah, take control of the file if you can enter in it. But here, that is the important point where white wants to go. It's totally control. So rook ad1 is not doing much. Rook ad8 brings the other piece that wasn't used into the game. And now obviously white doesn't want to take and give the control to black, because black will go here, that is not controlled by white. So he tries this, f3. b5, c takes b5, c takes b5, knight c3, and now I think you should stop for a second and think, what are you going to do now? Because it's kind of interesting situation. There is the possibility of gaining a pawn, let's say, or to do a kind of little tactic. Okay? Let's see if you can see it at this point, because it's kind of interesting. So, if you pause the video and try to find out what is black's next move and the idea behind, I suggest you to do it, because it will be a good exercise. If you don't, let's continue. Rook takes d1, rook takes d1, and boom, bishop takes b3, the move for which you exchange the rooks. Why? Because now you are attacking this and attacking this at the same time, but this rook is not defending the other rook d8. That's the idea of the exchange, okay? Of course, white plays bishop takes f6, but this takes the last rook out of the game, and after this exchange we enter an endgame where black is definitely having a good position. As you can see, he has space, and now he also has a queenside majority, which can become a pass pawn. A pass pawn means that white will have to give up a piece to stop it. So knight takes d1, rook d8, knight e3, and finally the rook goes on the second rank. This rank for white and this rank for black are important because it's where all the enemy pawns are, so you attack them. That's the advantage. And so you always grab something. Plus you block the pieces from moving on that rank, and it's kind of important, okay? F takes e4. What do you play as black? You don't play f takes e4, but you play rook takes e2. Like I told you, second rank, it's very, very important. And it's one of the elements that you learn from books like Nintsovich, My System, okay? Knight d5, f takes e4, bishop f1, and now you must be careful what you do, because once more I told you this is going to become a pass pawn, but black forces are a little clumsy over there, so he need to mobilize that knight. So he played this, rook b2, trying to keep up this, okay? Obviously white played a4, beautiful move, right? Because after you take on a4, is able to take the knight. But once again, I tell you, in the endgame, the pass pawn need to be pushed. When they reach a certain level, like this square, also for a rook becomes difficult to block them without giving itself up. a3, bishop c4, a5, the other pass pawn is pushed. So this is why you want to watch games, entire games, instead of learning and memorize the variation up to move 12 with space repetition, because after move 12 you don't know what you are going to do, and instead when you watch an entire game you are even able to connect everything in your brain and see, okay, but I know what I have to do in the middle game, and definitely I know how to win the end game. Okay, so that's why you watch an entire game instead of learning to memorize 10-15 moves on chessable. Knight f2, rook c2, bishop b3. Obviously he wants to keep control of the light square because he's trying to prevent this, right? Rook c1, king g2, a4, bishop a2, rook c2, knight b4, protecting it, rook b2, attacking the defender. Now everything is blocked here, right? And the problem is the next move, this one. So white needs to decide, and here you have learned also about the power of the rook, the power. So he plays this one, but after he played that one, boom. And now things become really ugly for white, right? Because king e2, king f6, king e3, king e5. And here it seems white resign. You say, why white resign? Because the thing is, yes, you can do something like this, but at the end of the day, this is defended, this is defended, this is defended, this one is going down at a certain point. So what are you going to do? He could go here and chase your knight for a while, track, maybe you give him check, track, and you go here. But then how do you stop that? Because at a certain point you have to stop it, right? And you can't. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game, and let's see the next one, because it's played by a grandmaster whose name is Danielson, and is a kind of an expert on the Leningrad on both sides.